All right. Clap sync.
I do not have the clap.
Jesus
No matter
Christ.
what they say.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? It's Garbo Artist. I'm just here cutting in to say that this is a demo for a podcast that me and my father, who was in this one, and a couple other friends are planning. So, just sit back, enjoy, and give me any feedback that you have on it. The plan is to put it on Apple Music and Spotify once it's, released. And yeah, so enjoy.
Alright, so can you
restate your question so we can start this off?
Okay, so I'm watching Wonder Woman, right?
Mm-hmm.
And and I'm thinking about how they're gonna tally up the box office and is it going to affect the theatrical experience going forward? Because I mean, I know we're in COVID, but
Yeah.
I have literally seen all these movies taking dives, and then there's such a complicated process on how they determine if it was successful now, right? It's kind of like what we do in the music business for the tallying of a gold album now. It's not the same method, right? You have to tally up streaming and sales and all these different aggregates.
Because in terms of pure numbers, it makes all the A-rate movies look like C-tier movies.
Well, I mean, it makes it look like pure basura, right? I mean,
yeah.
So we were just talking about it, right? Mulan, which is fantastically made, right? I mean,
yeah.
I didn't, not a Mulan fan, so I didn't watch the whole thing, but I saw how well it's made from a cinematic standpoint.
All right, the cinematography, the choreography, everything was amazing about it.
Next level, right?
And
top
like
A1 job, like it was normal, and I'm sure it was made pre-COVID, so of course all the conditions were optimal.
Yeah.
But here we are. It did $70 million against a $200 million budget. Not only would you be fired for that, but you'd never direct again. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I'm sure whoever the director, I'm not familiar with the director, but I'm sure they're huge because you don't just get given a $200 million movie, right?
Right. Well, especially when Disney, that was starting to become their thing, their reimagining of all the classic films into live action. You don't just hand the keys to the castle to anybody.
No, right. I mean, they did an amazing job with The Jungle Book. What else did they remake?
They've redone Cinderella. They've redone Lion King, Beauty and the Beast.
Now let's talk about Jungle Book just to compare. Like, granted, there's 4 years difference, right?
The director was Nikki Caro, by the way.
Okay, well, I'm gonna blow your mind with who the director on Jungle Book is. Do you know without looking?
I do not.
Your favorite human on Earth, other than Feige?
Favreau.
Yeah. So go
Crazy.
figure. Right. So Jon Favreau has not only solidified himself as
Mr. Disney.
Right, but look at this, $966 million box office against $177 million. I mean, when you talk about a mind blower, that's almost $1 billion film. And those numbers in recent times have been reserved for what? Only for big Marvel movies.
Yeah.
Right, and some DC, right? They got close. I even think Aquaman went over $1 billion.
Aquaman was highest grossing of the year it came out.
Yeah. So, but now just look at the contrast. 4 years later, granted, almost 4 years to the day. Jungle Book came out April 4, 2016, in an optimal economy, in an amazing setting, and it was, I think, the first of the reimagines. Or it might have been the second, but
I believe Beauty and the Beast was the first. Oh no, that was later. 17.
Yeah, so I think Jungle Book started this off.
Cinderella, 2015.
Okay, right. So there you go. Right here we go with $1 billion smash. Which also, by the way, side note, put a pin in this. This makes a lot of sense now why we see where Jon Favreau is now with Disney.
Mm-hmm.
because neither one of us knew before this conversation that Jon Favreau was the director of this film.
Yeah.
That obviously, I mean, that's next level, right? We expect Jon Favreau to be attached to the Iron Man stuff and the Avengers, right?
Right. He's Mr. Marvel along with Feige.
Right, but then to see him be out on this venture, well, it's evident why Mandalorian got handed to him.
Yeah, he's proven his versatility with all genres in film with Disney.
Yeah. So here we go. Fast forward to 2020. Mulan gets made. It got filmed in probably an optimal world.
I believe its filming started a year or two ago.
Yeah, it must.
Don't quote me on that.
But it came out, and granted, it's only been out 3 months. But as we know, most of these things do a lot of their numbers early on.
Right.
So
for Disney and Marvel and DC, it's always been box office weekend.
Right. So here we are, $70 million. Now, could this have to do with more than just COVID? Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to lie. As amazing as Mulan, the original one, was when you guys were little, and Karina loved it and all that, it's still very specific, right? I mean, not only is the subject matter a little bit foreign to like an American audience, but also it's a female lead on top of that. So, we come from an era. I mean, think about it. That movie, the original one, came out in 98. So, we just weren't big on female leads. I mean, even now, we're still in a very misogynistic world. I mean, right. I don't care what anyone says. I'm not going to. But when you trip, the original Mulan was a $90 million budget. A lot of money for an animated thing 20 years ago. Oh, but it only did $304 million. So when you think in terms of that, right, which, nobody's mad, that was a lot of money. But just look at the success of something like Lion King 4 years before, the same year that my oldest child was born. Just going to, reference it. That was a funny haha, by the way. $45 million budget that did $1 billion.
Yeah.
Again, big different subject matter, females not lead, and all that. So there's some part of this Mulan now that we still have to accept that some of those factors could still have contributed to its not as robust
numbers.
Yeah.
Right. I definitely agree. It's
okay.
I know one complaint that a lot of people had early in its development was first off, the original complaints when the first Mulan came out was it wasn't authentic. It wasn't, it wasn't close to its roots at all, which
I heard that a lot. Yeah.
Which, it's understandable if someone did an animated film about a young girl raised in the ghetto or the projects of Oakland or San Francisco. You'd want it to be as authentic as possible.
Right. Well, it's like Ryan Coogler made Black Panther because he's from there.
Yeah.
Granted, Black Panther and Wakanda are set in a mythological universe, but the part about being in West Oakland and the dad.
Right, they made it relatable to the culture that it was placing it in.
We went crazy in the Bay, right?
Yeah.
We loved it. We were like, yes.
It peeled back the curtain a little bit about like gang warfare in the beginning of the movie and stuff.
Too Short in the Trunk is playing in the beginning of Black Panther. Gives it a lot of credibility.
Yeah.
And then you got Mozzie and S.O.B., granted not from Oakland, but both of them are on the soundtracks. It's Kendrick Lamar overseen, who, although he's a Compton native, still has that, Compton and Oakland are very closely related from a standpoint of culture, right?
Yeah.
Like they're both deeply rooted in their respective cultures. Oh, Compton being, a middle-class black enclave in the 70s that was well off, that turned into a gang mecca. Oakland having the same story, and it turned into the hyphy mecca and the drug dealing capital for some time, and now being gentrified, et cetera, right?
Right.
So it brings us all back to Mulan and, the subsequent release of what we're talking about mainly here, Wonder Woman,
Right.
and the future of big movies, right? I had asked you earlier, when you wanted to record this, I said, what's going to happen to our blockbusters? Are they going to be looked at differently now? I mean, let's take Mandalorian real quick, which for you and I both, that's been our film for the year, right?
Right. It's a critically acclaimed show that I think everyone's made a strong...
$12 million.
Yeah,
$12 million an episode.
They made a 30-minute Disney movie
every time.
Yeah.
Which gives us 8 episodes, which is 4 hours. Am I doing my math right? Yeah, it's 4 hours. So they basically gave us a 4-hour, $100 million movie.
Right. I mean, and I don't want to say anything about it because I intend on posting this, so I'm not going to spoil what happens at the end there.
No.
But what happens at the end of the season 2, it shows like the people who do ratings on like the funny nuances with movies and TV, even they couldn't help but nerdgasm over what happened. And
me too. Remember, I texted you the whole time. I'm like, no way. And listen, I'm pretty okay with spoilers in my life. I kind of like to know what's going to happen and then just watch it.
Yeah.
But I didn't expect that.
I mean, the fact that I said that you're not going to believe what happened because you watched it, I'd say 5 hours after I did.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
So the fact that I said you're not going to believe this did it no justice at all. And
no, I still couldn't believe it. Like, although you prepared me, I didn't expect that. But I say that to say that kind of was our fix for 2020.
Oh, no, absolutely. If Disney decided to set everything aside for the year to get their, everything in order, everyone would have been miserable this year.
Man, they made it happen for us. But here I am, and you know me, like, I give DC way more chances than you do because...
Oh, no, absolutely.
Well, because I'm older.
Every new franchise is an opportunity to strike gold.
Right. And I've been let down on every single one. And let me explain something. This is still all related to what we're talking about, but I'm going to take us back to the 70s and the early 80s. Superman was ahead of its time. Those films with Christopher Reeve.
Yeah.
Fucking Gene Hackman as Lex Luthor. I mean, like, you would have to be a little older to understand it, but if you understand who Gene Hackman is, him doing those roles was crazy because it added so much legitimacy. I mean, even Superman, I think it was 3, but it might have been 2, had Richard Pryor, who of that time was the Eddie Murphy comedian of that era, right? So Superman was ahead of his time. And I don't know any of the Superman box office numbers. I know they were excellent for back then, right? But in fact, we'll just... let's
Superman
just
3 did 100 million in box office, and its budget was 39.
So and so very similar. Superman 1 did 300 million box office against $55 million budget. Unreal in 1978.
Right.
Marlon Brando was
times where the money was way different than it is now.
Oh yeah, I mean 300 million was a very hard number to reach. And remember, that was during the Star Wars era. This was big money. Yeah. Saying all that to say, they've touched this Superman franchise at least 3 times since then. We had Superman 1 through 4 in my right? And they got more crappy as we went. Even though technology was evolving, we ended up with a Superman 4, The Quest for Peace in 1987, which had a horrible bad guy in it and it only did 36 million at the box office against 17 million. To put that in perspective for you, which is interesting, right? Because why is the fourth one in the series budget 1/4 of the first one in the series?
Right.
Right, like
you think if you struck gold, you'd keep dipping your toe in it.
But they were on their way out.
And I'm glad you said that, because let's skip forward in time as early as Man of Steel 1, right?
Well, that's where I want to go with this. Yeah, but go ahead.
So Man of Steel 1 box office made 668 million USD. You want to know what its budget was?
Super respectable.
Its budget was 225 million.
Yeah, very different world, right? I mean, where it still tripled its budget, which is awesome, right?
Right.
But it was also trash. But now I got to step you back. I got to rewind you to when you were 6 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh, are we talking about the Brandon?
Yeah,
Brandon Ruth.
Ruth. Yeah. I took you to see that. You don't remember it, but I took you. And because I'm a big Superman guy. This is all I'm saying. All this, by the way, Ruth, to tie into why I always give DC a chance, right? Mm-hmm. So Superman Returns is my adult equivalent, right? Me being, I don't know what I am there, almost 30, of the arrival of my childhood superhero updated.
Yeah.
And it was pretty bad, but it was pretty good.
It was a Bryan Singer movie, so.
But I was about to say, though, it was pretty bad, and it was pretty good at the same time. What I mean is, how much later would Iron Man come out? Like 3 years?
2 years. Iron Man was 2008.
Superman Returns was comparative. It was a bad script. And by the way.
Oh, no, for sure. But
now that I'm older.
Superman Returns in my heart is the same as X-Men. 2020 Lorenzo does not like it by any means. Like, it's they're cheesy whatever movies. But 2006 Lorenzo, oh my God, superheroes.
So 39 million. A budget of 200 million to a box office of 400. Another kind of like almost failure.
Yeah.
Right? Because don't get me wrong, no one's mad about doubling their money.
No, not
but
at all.
we expect different things from these superhero films, right? And I'm no expert, by the way. Anyone who ever listens to this and me and you talking about all this, I don't want anyone to think that I'm an expert. I'm just a fan. Like, I'm not even versed in that world. I don't understand it completely. My extent of experience in the film business is low budget urban rap movies that I've made or provided the soundtrack for. So I truly don't understand the bells and the whistles. I do know what I like, though. And I have tried to like DC's every incarnation of it. I think is the right word.
Yeah.
My whole life, dude. My whole life, though. Like, it was like, okay, cool. Here's Superman as a kid. Okay, here's Lois and Clark on TV on the CW. Oh, here comes...
What's good about that, though, is it's not exactly a hot take. It's kind of universally understood that DC's department has always been animation. Whereas...
Animation, you mean, right? Let's be clear. You mean cartoon animation, correct?
Yeah. For movies, it's always been their animation.
That's where I was going to go with this, right? If you look at the Batman animation and the Superman animation, the actual cartoons, the TV shows, they're fucking dope. They're dope.
Justice League. Here, let me find some numbers for you.
Okay, cool. So we're evolving, right? So I'm still talking about DC and mine get a chance. Then they came out with this pure garbage with Henry Cavill, who I think, and it's hard for me to say this because I like his look, but he's a little dark for my Superman.
Okay. What? No, just like just in terms of like the tanness, or you mean like the vibe? Like he's more Batman-y than
he's more Batman. He's more Batman-y. Okay, and and Brandon Ruth.
That's not his fault though. I'm gonna attribute that to Snyder.
Okay, yeah.
All of these movies have been very intense movies when they didn't need to be.
Right, so that's where I'm going, right? Why are these films written like Armageddon, you know? And it's like, wait a minute, dude, this is literally Superman and Batman. I haven't liked much of Batman. I liked Christian Bale. Actually, they did pretty good with this last Batman run before Ben Affleck.
The Nolan series.
Yeah, Christian Bale and Nolan.
Yeah.
They did pretty good. Morgan Freeman, great choice, right? You can't go wrong with Morgan.
And we were just talking about him, the guy who played Alfred.
Michael Caine.
Michael Caine.
Like, come on, Michael Caine, Morgan Freeman, Christian Bale, Liam Neeson, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they were very close with the Batman franchise. And when I mean close, I mean, it was a very good modern take.
Nolan could perfectly capture the essence of what a Gotham City should feel like.
And then they came and gave us Ben Affleck.
I doubt Ben Affleck's ever going to hear this, but, sir, I'm sorry, that cowl was a little too tight for you.
Well, the other thing is, right, and I happen to, as you know, son, and I don't want to say any names, I happen to have some access to Ben Affleck through a friend of mine.
Mm-hmm.
And I happen to know that he was the whole time. And I don't want that. I'm not saying, you know, aren't a part of the culture of being a Hollywood superstar, but they're definitely not a part of the culture of superheroes.
Right.
Like drugs.
Right. Like Robert Downey Jr., Chadwick Boseman, like these are real life superheroes. These are people who go out
Robert
there
Downey
and
himself, a recovering addict who became a hero to us because of his triumphant ascension into superstardom. Right? So anyway, saying all that to say, here we go. I'm still giving DC a chance. And dude, I watched Justice League like 5 times, son, and tried every time I wanted it to be all right. I watched Batman versus Superman. I wanted them to be good.
I personally could not do it.
None of them became good.
Nope. So that's where the Snyder comment comes back.
Okay, go ahead.
So we're gonna take Brandon Ruth for example. We step into the modern age of superheroes in TV and film.
Yes.
I personally believe like the Arrowverse of the CW shows, they're good superheroes. They don't have a good budget, so they can't be the best superheroes on screen.
And it's funny you say that because Brandon Ruth becomes a DC character in those shows.
Yeah, he plays the Atom in Arrow and then Flash
does a fantastic job.
Absolutely. And this is going to blow your mind because I don't think you watched this because you personally never liked watching all of the shows together sequentially.
Yeah, not a fan of the Flash or the Arrow, but
he retakes his role as the Superman Returns Superman. Word. So
maybe I have to go back now and
so in their most recent crossover, which was the last one because Arrow ended on this one.
Oh, I see it. I actually say this.
Yep.
Ruth also reprised his role as Superman, albeit one from an alternative universe, in the 2019 Arrowverse crossover event Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Yes.
His role on Legends of Tomorrow ended in 2020. That's dope.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what's funny? I am so in need of my superhero dose or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
That I'll probably go binge watch all of those shows that you named.
Yeah.
That I've ever watched. And the reason I will is for no other reason than practicality. I don't have much stuff I can still binge watch.
Right.
So naturally I'm gonna have to break down now and say, all right, I'm going to watch it. Because I watched some of The Flash, right? I watched a couple Arrows.
And
but
I think what happened with those shows, though, and this happened, my girlfriend's guilty of this, too. When you're in the middle of a season, but the season's not ahead of you, you're not as likely to continue watching it.
Oh, no, it's true. We've become so we're like slaves to the whole streaming thing now, right?
Oh yeah, if it wasn't for video on demand, people would be content starved.
Yep, for sure. So anyway, back to DC and letting us down, right? DC kind of did not let us down on television. Even Legends of Tomorrow is corny as hell.
Right.
Enjoy it.
And I think that's where like Zack Snyder, I think he's, helped produce really good films in terms of cinematography and stuff.
Yeah.
But as a director, he hasn't brought, like, Superman shouldn't, you're right, Superman should not be as dark as it is.
No, he's legit the American hero.
Mm-hmm. Like, you look at the Superman from the most recent CW shows, and they're going to give him his own spinoff soon, actually. Not the Brandon Ruth character, but a different Superman. And you look at, I don't know if you ever watched the show Smallville when it was on air.
Loved it. Dude,
those are good Supermans. Those are very good examples of great Superman.
So the kid who played on Smallville, okay, I have to look his name up. I feel bad.
He also comes back in that crossover,
it's
by the way.
Like 10 years. My bad. But his name was Tom Welling, I think.
Yeah, Tom Welling.
Okay. I loved Smallville. And let me give you some insight about that, which is a trip. That show started when you were a baby.
Mm-hmm.
And it ended when you were like 10 or 11.
And May 13th, 2011.
So that's kind of crazy, right? It really made it that long. Mm-hmm. And the Lex Luger character was good too, because he was a little more human. He was a bad guy and a good guy.
Yeah.
There were moments where, because I don't know if like most people understand that Smallville wasn't as cut and dry as a superhero and an evil guy. They were all friends in high school.
Oh yeah,
anyway,
it was the perfect dichotomy between a sitcom or a Teen Wolf kind of show on CW and a superhero show.
Yeah, and then the girl who played Lois was perfect. I can't remember her name.
Kristen Kruk.
Yeah, but she was
Lana
great.
Lang. That's Lana Lang.
Lana Lang, yeah. But anyway,
Erica Durance was Lois Lane.
They did I actually meant Lana because Lana was from his hometown. So, but yeah, right? They did a great job of also, and just having just enough superhero-ness, meaning the flying and the fighting and the punching, that I was like, yes, I got my action that I wanted, right? But it also was well scripted. Again, hokey, but intentionally. Because what people don't understand is, back in those years when Paramount TV, or UPN as it was called then, UPN and CW, which was the WB originally, right?
Right.
They were new, and they were meant for teenagers.
Yeah, like... I think the what was it? I think it was the 1990s with John Wesley Shipp, The Flash.
Yes.
Like those were directed towards the adults who had read comics still at the time.
Correct.
Whereas the last 2 decades of television and movies have been directed towards younger comic book consumers going as they grow up.
Absolutely. And what's funny is, that Flash only lasted like 1 year.
Yeah. Not even that. It was like it was September to May.
And it was super cornball central.
Oh no, absolutely. And that's another thing that I think the CW.
But they tried it
perfectly.
out on TV, which was dope.
Right.
Like real broadcast television.
I love that the WB, God damn it, CW brought back all of these original renditions of these characters too. Because in that crossover I mentioned, Michael Keaton reprises an older alternate version of Batman.
Yeah, I remember.
Or Bruce Wayne. And then John Wesley Shipp was the Flash in the Flash TV for several seasons.
That too. Another super well-made DC television show is Supergirl.
Yes. Surprisingly great.
Yes. I mean, I was impressed because it made the Flash and all them. The reason the Arrow doesn't come off as hokey as the Flash, in my opinion, is because Arrow he's not as supernatural, right?
Right. He stays in his lane. He's the next step down from a Batman, and
Right.
everything that he does, even like the stupid exploding arrows and shit, it's feasible in real life.
It's all possible.
He's a relatable
right?
hero.
Whereas when you're watching The Flash, no offense, because I know you love The Flash,
Right.
but it's clearly kind of over its head because we know as comic book fans, well, actually, you're the one who's guided my knowledge on this. The Flash is actually one of the strongest there is in terms of
just
power.
Pure power, yeah.
Yeah, if you really quantified all of these guys next to each other, Flash is up there with Superman and them, which makes sense because he's in the Justice League, right? I mean,
right. And he's one of the few characters that has even his different different iterations, like people who took the mantle of the Flash. The Flash has been a staple in the Justice League in every generation.
Right. And then don't get me, I mean, this is just making me talk since this kind of became more of a DC combo because of Wonder Woman, though. So we're still on topic. One of the things that blows me away is fucking how horrible Green Lantern was. And he's one of my favorite characters ever.
I think at this point, though, it's charmingly bad because even Ryan Reynolds gives it, like, he'll kick dirt on it, but he has fun with it at this point.
Well, he also did a great job as the Green Lantern's human identity. Hal
Jordan.
Yeah, like we love Ryan Reynolds, right? Anything Ryan Reynolds plays in, aka Brandon Umapig, he's dope. I mean,
how crazy is it that Taika Waititi was in that movie too?
That's right. That's funny.
He was Ryan Reynolds' character's best friend or whatever in that movie.
Right.
But I want to.
Right, here we are. We're fast forward. Wonder Woman 84.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was fiending for it. You were laughing at it.
I mean, I would, believe it or not, I was fiending for it too. I was hopeful because in this year of, complications and darkness, I wanted a superhero movie. I wanted something.
Aquaman almost was dope. Okay, I want to say, like, there was some corniness. Like, obviously, the whole premise of what an Aquaman is makes it a little bit corny.
Right, it's a hokey, mythological kind of thing.
Yeah, it's like meeting of aliens meets mystical powers, whatever. But we like Jason Momoa, right? We do. Like,
well, my mom does for sure.
Well, I was gonna just say though that even people who aren't women, us, there's something about him that we're like, dude is manly, and we like.
Oh no,
him.
for sure. He posted on TikTok or Instagram or whatever. A video of him chucking axes at a board for his kid or whatever.
Yeah. And then remember his Super Bowl commercial this last time?
Yeah.
Where he became like skinny and his hair and all that. So we're rooting for all these shows because they do have good actors and actresses playing them. Right? I mean, Jason Momoa, Gal Gadot, these are great. People to use, but something's lost in the, like, they need to poach some Marvel CGI people or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I think don't quote me on it. I think Feige stepped into the Justice League process.
Really?
And because not all of it's bad. There's some parts that are bad, but not all of it.
Okay.
Oh, Whedon stepped in.
Oh, yeah, Whedon, for sure.
So, because Justice League is a bad movie, but it's not all bad. There's parts that are watchable. But, like, the more gritty parts just definitely don't make sense. It's a superhero movie. It's supposed to be, uplifting, not doom and gloom.
Yeah, I'm not supposed to be depressed while I'm watching a superhero movie.
Like, if you go and Google all of their promotional art too, even that's like super Jesus Christ.
Yeah, they went, and don't get me wrong. Now let's be fair. Also, now that we're discussing this, the historically DC's dark. I mean,
no, for sure. It's the only franchise in terms of superheroes that acknowledges that people die and people are gonna get hurt.
Right.
If you like all of the Avengers and Marvel movies, oh man, all this stuff happens, but no one got hurt, thank God.
Oh, I do want to say this. You made me think of it, and you might jump through this phone and slap me for this.
Mm-hmm.
The Suicide Squad was dope.
I liked it. It was
dope.
Yeah.
I liked I liked the actors. Again, DC has money, so there's this really dope bunch of people they hire, right?
Oh, no, for sure. Like I love that. I think Will Smith has been a great actor in all his weird whatever movies throughout the years. But I think as Deadshot, he really he brought a new character to the screen.
And let's give them some credit now. Back to the non-dark part of them.
Mm-hmm.
They did a great job with Shazam for what it was.
I personally didn't like the script,
No,
but I'm not. I'm not
the,
familiar with the Shazam character as much, so that's what I'm not gonna rag on it.
It looked, the quality of acting, the sets, it was all on point. You're right. The script was kind of crappy, but I think that's because Shazam exists for 10-year-olds. You know,
it's like a kid in school, like they show, like, man, what if I was a superhero? And all these kids at this orphanage or foster home become superheroes.
Right. But so why, so you were gonna open up the final part of this. You were gonna say why.
Oh yeah. So to backtrack to your initial question that started me recording.
Okay.
I do believe everything that's happened this year is going to change the infrastructure of how we consume theatrical media, but not for the same reasons you'd think.
All right.
Some people I know in Texas, along with the company that I tell you about, Rooster Teeth, all the time. They've said this on their podcast.
Yeah.
They have gone to the Alamo Draft House and they've rented out theaters to watch with their friends, and they still maintain social distance.
Right.
So I think it's definitely going to restrict how and why you see theatrical media. I don't think it's going to completely, shut it down.
Right.
Like if you take our hometown, for example, it's a pretty big theater. It has a lot of real estate.
Oh, for sure. What is it? 16, I think.
Yeah. So
16.
It's 16 or 18, I think. I forget which. So I think what might happen is these theaters might change their infrastructure, and they might make them reserve only or reservation only.
That'd be dope. And I've heard get a theater for $100.
Yeah, which, considering the theaters that are in the Bay Area, that's not bad.
No, because 8 people would justify that.
Right. So if you want to go out with all your friends and you each put in a couple of dollars, high schoolers can make that happen.
Oh, for sure.
I remember you and Mom would give me $25 a week for lunch, back when lunches were like a couple bucks each.
Right.
So if I wanted to choose the more conservative lunches, or just take a cup of noodle and hold on to my money, I could go out with my friends that weekend if they had money.
Yep. And have it popping.
Right. Take a couple snacks in there with me.
Yeah, 99-cent store.
So to the reservation point, I think instead of people walking in and having to sit every other seat like it has been, or every other row like it has been,
right.
I think they're gonna restructure all these theaters to be like Alamo Draft House. I don't know if you've been there.
No.
It's like a veranda kind of deal, like you get you're sitting at a table, basically like a comfy table booth, and they bring you your food and stuff.
Oh, so like one of the grills. Yeah.
So I think they're gonna restructure them to the point where you can have like a table of 2, 3, or 4 at this theater booth, and instead of what is it, like a 50-60 person theater, you're gonna have like a 15 party theater, just spread out.
Also have vaccinations coming and stuff, so
unfortunately though, and I've heard a lot of mixed emotions about it. I don't think the vaccination, like, we have the lowest flu transmission rate because of masks and stuff.
Right.
So I think going forward, these are going to be our norms. Maybe not the masks every day, but for sure while you're around people.
I'll keep a mask on. I don't have a problem with it.
At this point, like, I've been working, customer service for 2.5 years now. I don't have it's normal to me at this point.
Yep.
9 months of doing this for 9 hours a day is nothing at this point.
Yeah.
So I definitely think it's going to change the infrastructure of theatrical releases. And obviously you cut down the size of your theaters. It's going to be harder to make those numbers.
Sure.
But you're going to see a lot more showings.
And it might save these theaters that we're going to go under.
Yeah. I think, if they take a couple grand and restructure these theaters, maybe reuse the seats in the the platforms that are already there.
Right.
They can make it work.
Yeah.
Because, like, I want to say back in the Bay Area, the East Bay Area, we'd see 3-4 showings of any given movie on a day.
Yeah.
So if they cut down the size per theater, maybe they'll do it from open to close. So they'll do 8 showings. Because if you take Wonder Woman, for example, it's a 2.5-hour film. If they open at 8 o'clock, they could squeeze 6, 7.
Well, they usually start films at 11 a.m. and they go to 11. So they could do 6 showings theoretically in one theater, right? If
they're on top of their cleaning and shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Because if you account for people like running out the theater as soon as the credit starts, you have time to do all that.
So the moral of this story is we're not going to see less blockbuster films because of the pandemic, in your opinion.
No, I think, what has come directly to video on demand, I'm pretty sure I've consumed almost every movie that's been coming out this year that I was already interested in.
Right. Me too.
Me too. I can definitely say I'm sad because a lot of movies I was anticipating more than others haven't come out. Like the most recent Bond film has not been released yet, and these big companies are fighting over who gets the rights to release it.
Wow. Is that with my man still in it? Is it still
Greg? I think
Craig.
it's Craig.
Craig. Craig. Why can't I remember?
James Bond.
Well, can't I remember his last name? And I love him. He's in my favorite film ever, which is called Layer Cake.
Daniel Craig,
yeah. By the way, if me and you ever go on a show, and you know how they say, well, what's your dad's favorite film? If I've never told you, it's actually Layer Cake, and I'll never change my mind on that.
Interesting.
Okay?
All right.
No, a lot of people... I discovered that movie when we lived on Carolina Street.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, all of the British... Like, it's a British gangster movie.
Yeah.
But it's just so cleverly made. And the meanings behind, layer cakes and all that. Anyway, that is my favorite film ever. I have lots of movies I love to death, right? Obviously.
Yeah.
But if I could only just watch one movie a lot, it'd be that. So, side note. Super weird side note. But I became a big fan of that film because I enjoy him. He's my favorite James Bond ever.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I watched probably 2 previous Bond films before Daniel Craig's run.
Yeah.
But I definitely... he's up there in terms of actors who I just enjoy watching.
I mean, it basically, like, look, Sean Connery was the best ever, but we got to take into account that those films were made in the 60s.
Yeah.
So there's just no comparing, right? Roger Moore was decent. He was in the 80s when I was a kid. But he was a bit old.
The 2 I watched were Roger Moore's.
But he was a bit old for the role already.
Right. Daniel Craig is like cusping the veteran spy at this point.
Yeah, exactly. And he was fly, and he was, I would love to see a person of color become James Bond. Like they've said Idris Elba. They've said, a few different possibilities. For now, Daniel Craig's so dope. But I'm with you. They haven't come out with any of our Marvel stuff. But see, if Disney Plus keeps it up, like with Mando, I'd be good with
the Marvel Disney Plus line that's gonna run starting next month or this month, really.
WandaVision, right? What else are we getting?
WandaVision, Falcon and Winter Soldier,
like
Loki.
that right there. Those two, right, would keep me cool for a while.
I think you're really gonna enjoy Loki too, because they said it's supposed to be like a cop kind of show.
Really?
Yeah, like a cop crime kind of show.
But wait, Loki himself is a cop?
I don't think he's the cop, but I think he's like assisting. Like, I don't know if you ever saw the show Lucifer. I think it might be like a spin on that. Like, you know, Lucifer was aiding a cop.
Okay, I just turned on the Loki trailer right now.
But that's just what I've heard. I don't know what's really gonna happen with it. But Spider-Man is supposed to come out later next year, I think.
Yeah, Spider-Man 3.
But like I was saying, I was really disappointed to see, like, I enjoy that there's a Marvel film that comes out around my birthday every year.
Yes.
So it was very disheartening to hear that at first that Black Widow's pushed back to what they say, June 12th or something like that.
Yeah,
and then it just didn't come out.
Canceled altogether.
Yeah.
But see, that goes to what I said earlier about these blockbusters, right?
Mm-hmm.
Marvel can't afford to have a $70 million wah like Mulan.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, let's keep it 100% real.
I mean, if we're gonna keep it 100%, though, they're taking an even bigger gamble, saying, "Okay, we're ready for next year. Next year, everyone's gonna be open."
Well, they are, but they're not giving us one of the films till March, right?
Well, that was the other thing about that movie getting pushed back too. It kind of fucks up the whole order of when things are coming out.
Let's see. Black Widow comes out May 7th. I think we're good.
Because I think the Eternals movie or something was supposed to come out May next year instead.
Yeah,
but obviously...
But it is a trip, right? Like, what's the average budget for a Marvel film?
I'd say a couple $100 million.
Oh, okay. So Black Widow's on par with the rest, 150 to 200.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the solo movies have always been in the less than $250,000 range, maybe just topping it, if anything.
Right.
And I think, yeah, I think the Avengers movies, all the crossovers have definitely been the ones where
they cost a little bit more.
Right. Like, I think Thor Ragnarok.
Oh yeah, Avengers Endgame cost $356 million to make.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So Thor Ragnarok.
But it did 2.8 billion, dog.
I mean, if you look at the way that they left it off with Infinity War, how are you not gonna make that much money? You just leave everyone dangling by a thread there.
And Captain Marvel was an impressive $152 million for $1 billion return.
Super unimpressive movie though. I wasn't really a fan of it.
You know why I was, and this is hard for you to internalize because of your age.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever they come with these 80s films, you know.
No. It wasn't. Don't get me wrong, Dad. Seeing a blockbuster in a fucking movie at all was
so dope, right?
Like my little nerd Ghiblies were like, I used to get my games from there. I didn't buy games at GameStop or Hollywood Video. I bought it from Blockbuster.
Because me and Ebony were at Burlington the other night and they had some Blockbuster socks, and I said, "Oh, Lorenzo would love those." And she goes, "He would remember it." I said, "Oh, that was his life." Like
one of my most fond memories of Blockbuster was Super Smash Brothers Brawl for the Wii.
Yes.
It just came out. It was the first game I ever bought on the spot for pre-order.
Right.
I told you and Mom I wanted this game. It wasn't even out yet. You guys pre-ordered it for me, and we walked home with it the day it came out. Like Blockbuster was the main outlet for me getting games. Digital gaming wasn't even close to a thought at that point.
Right.
They
You started out in the cartridge world.
Yeah.
Yep.
So Thor.
I've enjoyed this discussion. I'm with you. Here's what I don't want to happen. Right.
Right.
I don't want my favorite movies to start being made for $25 million.
Yeah.
You see where I'm going with this? Like,
no, for sure.
a $200 million
to see
movie.
all the culmination of what they say, 21 movies for Marvel or some shit, and then all of a sudden we're backtracking to the Iron Man 1 days.
Right. And I've literally watched the whole franchise or Marvel Universe twice this year, all the way through, because I needed it.
By the way, Thor Ragnarok, its budget was 180 million.
That was pretty high.
850.
Nice. Yeah, to suggest that Feige and all them guys are set for life would be an understatement.
Oh no, for sure. I mean, if not set in terms of money, which I'm not saying they aren't, they've solidified themselves in not just film history but comic book history. These communities where all these superheroes are adored, and people look up to these icons. Feige, Whedon, they brought them to the screen. They've made them real people.
Right. No, I agree.
But yeah, I think things are gonna change, but I'm hoping that people are diligent in making them more viable options instead of just cutting the cord in general.
Right. Yep. It's gonna be dope.
Yeah. That was a concern at the beginning of this year, or when it all started, I should say.
Yeah, because I mean, if I'm good. Put it this way, my thoughts about it will be out until we see the numbers for Wonder Woman.
Oh yeah.
Not that decides anything. I know nothing about it, but I think DC just said, "Hey, we've got a fucking turd on our hands. Let's just drop it."
Just pinch it off at this point.
Like, who makes this shit and doesn't say no? This is crap.
So I think it's pretty well known that the cheetah is going to be in the movie. I cringed at seeing that.
Oh God, it was bad.
Her face makeup kind of made her look like Chitara from Thundercats. That was my first thought.
Why did I swear to God I thought? That's why I love you. You even know my 80s stuff. She looked straight up like a Thundercat.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Up until the point where we finally see her be the cheetah. By the way, the transition from human to cheetah was stupid too. But
it was terrible.
Up until that point, I kept thinking, well, how does she turn into the cheetah? Is it just this thing that just does it for her? And I was like, that's stupid. I don't know what the origin for the cheetah is, but the catalyst for her becoming the cheetah was fucking retarded.
Yeah, super. But okay, so I'm gonna give credit where it's due.
Mm.
When Wonder Woman was in action. By the way, there wasn't enough action in the film.
No, not at all. I went 2 hours of wondering when I was going to see Wonder Woman.
Yeah. But when she did start using her stuff, like her rope to fly, and
yeah,
that all was super dope.
I think a little side note, or just personal nitpick, I guess. I feel like the transition, when she slingshotted herself around ground level characters, it looks really, really off, and it bothered me.
Yeah, I could see what you mean.
It felt like she was rubber banding off the screen.
To fly. Remember when she?
Yeah, that was.
Yeah, it wasn't very good.
That feels like it would have been a life or death situation, and she'd have to will that to happen.
Well, I know Chris Pine was happy to get another check.
Oh no, for sure.
Because I don't know how I feel about him in general.
he like no homo, but he's fun to look at. But that's about it.
Well, yeah. But I mean, he's more of like I see him as Star Trek, and I see him as like.
Oh my God, he was in Star Trek. I did.
That
just shows you how. That just shows you how much I remember the Star Trek movies.
Yeah, that's what he got known for sure.
God, I didn't even watch the most recent one.
But a little side note, you wouldn't remember this show at all, but there was a really dope television show. Well, you'd know the new movie they made. There's a show in the 70s called Chips, California Highway Patrol, and they rode motorcycles. Chris Pine's dad was the captain on that show.
Chips. It sounds familiar.
So remember they remade it with Dax Shepard as a movie?
Yes, in 2007.
Yeah, Chips. But in the 70s, it was a really dope, like kind of ahead of its time, like police procedural drama.
Yeah.
Because it was 2 CHP officers on motorcycles, and you really would see them all in through California. And
Michael Pena was in that.
Yeah, Michael Pena, exactly. Who I like, actually.
Love his character in it, man.
Yeah. But, all right. Let's wrap it up. We're going to pay attention to these numbers, and then we'll revisit this subject.
Yeah. Closing note.
Yeah.
I hated the invisible jet transition. That's it. We're
Terrible.
done.
Oh, my God. It was just crap. Sorry, spoiler alert.
I'm going to bleep out. I'm going to bleep out the ones I think are spoilers. Don't worry.